Sane Occultism by Dion Fortune. Chapter 14. Psychic Pathologies. Evil is wrought by want of thought as well as by want of heart. Let us now consider the occult troubles which arise from ignorance and inexperience. These may be divided into three broad divisions. Firstly, the troubles which come from hypersensitiveness induced by improper methods of training or training under unsuitable conditions. Secondly, the forming of rapports without the knowledge of the methods of breaking them and resealing the aura. And thirdly, the dissociation of the personality through the use of improper methods of psychism, a common trouble with the untrained psychic. A psychic is always sensitive. He is sensitive not only to impressions from the inner planes, but to every change of feeling in those about him. He is like a person who goes abroad on a treacherous spring day, clad in the thinnest of garments, and feeling every change of temperature, now chilled by the wind, now scorched by the sun. Such a one experiences constant changes of mood and is torn to pieces by his own emotions. Moreover, he is constantly quarreling with people, for he is acutely aware of the ups and downs of their feelings towards himself, and a single thought of irritation is to him as a blow in the face. Unless sheltered and cared for with wise and understanding sympathy, the psychic is very apt to become neurotic and end in social disgrace. Spontaneous, natural psychism is the fruit of training undergone in past lives. This training is of two types. It may have been designed to produce the Sibyl, the watcher of the magical mirror, or it may be the result of initiation and adapted. The former type gives the passive negative psychism and is usually found in psychics of little mentality. The latter type has invariably associated with it qualities of mind and character, which show the lineage of the soul. When one who has previously been an initiate has reached the point in this incarnation when he is ready to take the path again, he is gathered back into his old order and reinitiated. From that moment, no more is heard publicly of his psychism. There are cases, however, in which this does not occur, and one who has been in the mysteries wanders unshepherded. It will usually be found in such cases that trouble has occurred in the past and that soul was expelled from his order for some offense against its ethics. Such souls are often quite well aware of this and know that occult studies are forbidden to them in this incarnation. A degree of psychism can be produced in most people by the methods of training, which are fairly widely in vogue at present. If the system be sound and the conditions under which it be followed are suitable, a reliable, even if not very extensive, psychism can be developed. Psychism is like singing. Though a large number of people can, with application, learn to be adequate performers for choral work, natural gifts are necessary for its highest achievements. Whatever system teaches the opening of the higher consciousness should also teach the methods of its closing, for to keep the higher centers open to all the times wrecks the brain consciousness into pieces. The method of closing is quite simple for anyone who has learned concentration and who has trained the subconscious time faculty. A time limit is fixed when consciousness is opened, and just as many people can cause themselves to wake from sleep at a given hour, so the psychic teaches himself to return to normal consciousness at the appointed time. He then concentrates his attention on some mundane occupation, and the psychic centers close automatically. This is the reason why craft work is insisted upon in many forms of occult training. The hour for the use of the hands comes around and the chakras have a rest. It is for this reason that the Western occultist, and especially such as concentrate the forces with ritual, deprecate vegetarianism when training, especially if the student has to remain out in the world, going about his ordinary business. When the centers are open with the help of refining diet, they cannot be closed at will, and unless the neophyte can lead a sheltered life, nervous disturbances ensue. Especially is this the case when through the injudicious management of the diet or inability to assimilate vegetable proteins, which are much more indigestible than animal proteins, there is malnutrition, with all its debilitating effects. Should this occur, as it frequently does, vegetarianism may, of course, be persisted in for humanitarian reasons. The decision is one for each individual conscience, and all respect is due to the person who elects to suffer for conscience sake. But under such circumstances, occult training must be discontinued. Although certain Eastern systems cannot be pursued without the sensitizing effect of vegetarian diet, the Western systems, for the most part, not only do not depend on diet for the results, but are actually unsuitable for the use of a person who has been so sensitized. The issue between humanitarianism and occultism have been much confused of recent years by modern theosophical teaching. As a matter of fact, they have no correlation. People may be humanitarians who are not occultists, and occultists who are not humanitarians. There is a very great difference between the expanded consciousness of the trained occultist and the sensitiveness of the psychic. The former functions positively on the plane of mind. The latter is receptive and negative on the astral plane, which is the plane of the emotions. He is swept backwards and forwards by every astral wind that blows. He is blamed for his treachery, his changeability, his sudden malice. But as a matter of fact, he is the victim of circumstances, as little to be blamed as a schoolchild who catches measles, mumps, scarlet fever, or whooping cough, one after another. The germs were going about, and he was not immune. The psychic and mystic frequently ask why any training is necessary. They declare that they have got their contacts and their visions. They know that all knowledge and power are within the heart. What more can be added unto them? This is the occultist answers that a knowledge of the technique and psychology of the higher consciousness will enable them to keep the vision unimpaired and protect them from many dangers of which they are unaware and concerning which they may at any moment be rudely enlightened by experience. Occult discipline is to the psychic what the training of his voice is to the singer. Untrained voices, however beautiful, do not last long, and the higher ranges of their art are not possible to them. His sensitiveness renders the psychic suspicious and quarrelsome, and because he is keenly alive to the unseen forces, he is terribly afraid of black magic. To him, any force which he does not understand and which seems to him to be stronger than himself is evil. He knows only too well his own extreme suggestibility, and he defends himself from undue influence by a ready suspiciousness and fiery resentment like that of a thoroughbred horse, rendered vicious by ill-treatment. With such a suggestible subject, the suspicion of fraud held in the minds of a circle of sitters is enough to make him doubt his own integrity and either totally prevent all manifestation or cause him to become that which they believe him to be, just as the hypnotized patient, when the doctor says to him, "You're getting better," in very truth gets better. This hypersuggestibility of the psychic is the cause of many of the falls from grace on the part of hitherto genuine mediums which the press exposes with such gusto. The untrained psychic, having no general knowledge of esoteric science or of the history of supernatural phenomena, has no standards of comparison by which to judge his own work. To him it is unique, sacred, a divine revelation. Whosoever lays a critical finger upon it is guilty of blasphemy. The astral psychic always believes his visions to be spiritual and has a horror of the very word astral. A matter of fact, All vision is astral. Spiritual experience have no form, but are pure idea and intuition. The mistake is made of believing that a change of subplane is really a change of plane. There is a wide difference between the lower and higher astral subplanes. On the higher levels of the astral are the greatest beauty and purity. Nevertheless, they are still astral. The spiritual plane is made of sterner stuff, and it is only accessible to those who can first rise through the concrete and abstract mental planes, and having utilized the mind to the full, transcend it. Any form of visual or auditory consciousness belongs to the planes of form. The higher planes are contacted through pure idea and realization. It is a philosophical concept of esoteric science which it is so necessary to stress at the present time as a counterbalance against the phenomenal anthropomorphic concept which has been so widely spread about by much propaganda literature on the subject, a state of affairs which is deplored by all serious-minded students of the ancient wisdom. The phenomena connected with rapport are also a fruitful cause of pathology. Rapport is like blood transfusion. There is an exchange of vitality between the persons concerned. If there be mutual sympathy and good health, rapport is a most valuable and useful thing, for there is reciprocity. The strength of each supplements the weakness of the other. The real value of marriages lies in the establishment of rapport on all the planes. The position is very different, however, when it is a case of all give and no take, or where there is a pathology in one of the partners to a rapport. Vitality is like any other mobile substance. It tends to flow from a center of high pressure to a center of low pressure until the pressure is equalized. Most of us only establish a rapport with those with whom we are in close emotional touch, but in the psychic or ectoplasm often projects long processes beyond the edge of the aura, and rapport is easily established. Where there is a need, the sympathy flows, and where the sympathy flows, the ectoplasm flows too, and along its tenuous threads goes the vitality. The leaking aura is not at all uncommon and accounts for much ill health in psychics. This condition needs careful and prolonged treatment. The rapport must first be broken by a complete severance of all relations for a time, if this be possible, and also by certain occult means which cannot be entered upon here. To break the rapport, however, it is not enough unless the rents in the aura be closed. The vitality will continue to leak and rapport to be formed with any who are devitalized. This is not a deliberate vampirism, but simply an acute form of the normal interchange of vitality and polarization which goes on all the time between all forms of life. In order to cause the aura to heal up and strengthen, the physical and mental health must be built up in circumstances of emotional quiet. A return to nature is the best medicine, for nature is a powerful healer for all psychic troubles. The re-establishment of physical health must always go hand in hand with the solution of occult problems. A lowered vitality leaves an open gate to invasion. Lastly, we come to the point where lies the root of so much occult trouble, the point where psychism and psychopathology meet. The sensitiveness of the psychic can so easily turn into mental instability under adverse circumstances. For its proper understanding, a knowledge of psychology is necessary. Whoever wants to understand this subject cannot do better than study Dream Psychology by Maurice Nicoll. The Psychology of Insanity by Bernard Hart is also very illuminating, and my own little book, Machinery of the Mind, is a general introduction to the subject. An adequate knowledge of the elements of both normal and abnormal psychology would do more than anything else towards preventing false concepts of occultism. When all is said and done, occultism is simply the science which deals with extended consciousness and the experiences which what extended consciousness opens up. And unless we have a proper concept of the nature of consciousness, we can never hope to understand occultism. It is so much easier, however, to acquire a rule of thumb knowledge of occult phenomena or alleged phenomena, and human nature is so fond of shortcuts which save effort and application, that it is not easy to get would-be students to realize that profound philosophical concepts must be clearly grasped before the occult doctrines can be understood. Apart from these, we get naive and anthropomorphic concepts of a universe cut out of cardboard, a child's toy theater of a cosmos. And lucky are we if we get it plain, without the addition of gaudy colorings. In this chapter, Dion Fortune explained the importance of proper training. If you are interested in true seership and prophecy, attend our training in prophetic Kabbalah or Kabbalah Nevuit, details in the video description. If you enjoyed this chapter of Sane Occultism and you want to hear more of this book, let us know in the comments.